Hey guys, it's Nathan from the Kentucky Cycling YouTube channel. Welcome to the next Zoom interview in the Kentucky Cycling Connection series. I'm excited to introduce my guest today, who is Josh Patton from the Bluegrass Mountain Cup. Josh, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Josh, when we were getting you logged in here today, I couldn't help but take a look at that shirt of yours and, say, yeah, way to represent. Looks good on you, brother. Josh last appeared on the Connection series in 2020. And in that interview, we learned about his cycling background, including his time as a racer, both at the collegiate level and as a professional mountain bike racer, and more recently as the cycling coach at Lindsey Wilson College. Josh, what's new with you since we last talked? Are you still coaching at Lindsey Wilson?
Yeah, so in a slightly different role, I'm an assistant. I stepped back a little bit to focus on other cycling endeavors, such as Bluegrass Cup and working in the professional side of cycling and mountain bike racing.
Who's now the head coach at Lindsey Wilson?
His name's Johnny Mitchell. He was a coach at Milligan University. He's an extremely experienced road racer and crit racer. He's done Unbound gravel race. The dude's tough. He's one heck of an endurance athlete.
Cool.
So the program's really going in the right direction there, and that's why I took a step back, was to allow us to get another coach on the staff and kind of shuffle things around, shuffle some responsibilities, and make for an overall better program. And just last weekend, we won a national title in BMX out in Phoenix, Arizona. So
awesome. Congrats.
Things are looking good right now.
Awesome. Very good. And is Andrew Parsons still working with you guys?
Yes, he is. He's an assistant as well. He does with a lot of the responsibilities of our course maintenance and building and keeping that place fresh, and a great training facility for our athletes, as well as going to mountain bike races and being someone on the ground for a lot of our events as well.
Awesome. That's pretty sweet that you guys have Andrew's skills to be able to draw upon. I know people are familiar with his work at PC Park, and I guess more recently at the Berea trail system, which opened this past year. So we're very, very fortunate to have him as a resource in Kentucky. I know he actually gets out beyond Kentucky and does a lot of work other places, developing trail systems as well. But awesome resource there. Well, if you don't mind, tell us about some of the stuff that's been happening with you outside of the Bluegrass Mountain Cup.
Yeah, in 2021, I worked for a World Cup team as a mechanic. Got to travel the world, go to all the World Cups, and experience, the highest level of mountain bike racing. It's a pretty awesome experience. Have a few projects going on this year with some other things not World Cup related, but still doing things in the cycling industry and with brands. And it's good to be in the sport that you love so much.
Cool. Any brands in particular that you want to give a shout out to?
YT is who I've worked with last year and who I'm working with again this year.
Cool. And I can't help but notice that there's a nice collection of bikes behind you. What type of bikes you got back there?
So I've got, let's see if I can point and do this right. This is my everyday trail rider. This is my YT Izzo 130 mil bike. Tons of fun everywhere in Kentucky, basically. Next to that's my wife's bike, which is a Liv 120 mil cross country bike. My giant Defy road bike. Tons of fun around here. My wife's gravel bike, which is a Salsa, and then my downhill bike,
Gotcha.
the YT Cruise on the end there.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Look at the fork on that. But how much travel's on that?
It's 200 mil, so roughly 8 inches front and back.
Gotcha. All right, man. I assume you're aware that Kentucky now has its own NICA League. In fact, the Kentucky Interscholastic Cycling League just had its inaugural season this past year in 2021. So being a college coach and someone who started riding young and has raced at both the collegiate and professional levels, what advice would you give to someone who wanted to follow this path?
The biggest thing, and this is always heartbreaking to see, is seeing someone burn out. They put so much pressure on themselves as a high school racer, and they're just done with it after their senior year. They've worked up, they've done so much, they've got an injury, they've faced heartbreak, or they're just tired of training and want to have a life back. You don't have to do that in high school. Cycling is a lifelong sport. You can do it until your body can't move anymore. Don't burn out early, and don't give up your talents and what you've acquired at that point. take breaks, do things that are fun. Don't take your training overly seriously. There's great racers in our state that are young. George Fraser is an example of that. He's a young guy that's going hard, and he's fast, and he's well sponsored because of it. And George is a good example of someone who is racing at a high level and takes it seriously. Knock on wood, I don't see George burning out because George keeps it fresh. He does a few different disciplines. He travels a lot. He's got a great support system at home. And there's a lot that goes into each individual's journey and what makes cycling right for them at that, especially 14 to 18 age group. But keep it fresh, keep it fun. Don't burn out, because you're going to want to do this for a long time, especially when you have what's considered adult money, and you can buy different bikes, and you're not just buying the race bikes for your NICA season and stuff like that. There's a lot of opportunity out there that the bike can give you. So don't sell yourself short. Be in it for the long haul.
Well, that sounds like really solid advice, not only for our young riders and racers, but for cyclists at any age. So very, very good. All right, so turning our attention to the Bluegrass Mountain Cup. For those who aren't familiar, tell us a little bit about the Bluegrass Mountain Cup. What is it? And talk to me about the overlap of the mountain bike races and the trail running races.
Yeah, so the Bluegrass Mountain Cup, formerly known as the Bluegrass MTB Cup, I guess 4 years ago now, we host races across the state. We choose a few locations that are suitable for XC racing and I don't want to call it old school format, but a very traditional, simple format of loops. Those loops are anywhere from 5 miles to 8 miles per loop. And that creates us the ability to do a very beginner friendly race for, Cat 3s who want to do one loop. All the way up to guys like Brian Schwarm and his crew that are always going super fast to do multiple loops and have a pretty fast and competitive race. We do this scattered out, usually somewhat tight time frame is what we're looking for this year to keep everyone kind of in the momentum. And we're also looking at adding, and this is kind of a tangent on this, we're looking at adding another stop to the race series this year. We don't have a date confirmed with that, but we do have the place confirmed. But all of these races tying together to make a series, a mini series, whatever you want to call it, keeps the competitive level fun for those who are competitive, but it also gets people that are racing the Cat 3 level enough of, they're not just feet into the water after they do the series, they're kind of waist deep in the water, and it gets them more involved in the sport, understanding it, and hopefully super eager to keep racing, keep riding, and grow from year to year and get family members involved, children involved, and whatever. And we do also do youth races. I mean, if you can ride a bike, then you can race the race. We got a place for you. And so then the other part of that, trail running, and we've kind of changed our trail running model for this year. There was a lot of events that started popping up in the last 2 years, especially once things opened up after 2020. You can find a trail running race or a road running race almost in every town through the summer in Kentucky, it seems like. And the market is so saturated with that. So instead of, splitting people up and not working towards stuff, we're very selective of what we're doing with trail running races this year. At this point, it looks like we're going to have 3 days of trail running throughout the year. And those aren't going to tie together as a series just because, once again, the market's pretty full. We want people to make sure that they're, coming for a specific event and having a good time, and just taking a little bit different focus with how we have to treat running now versus how our mountain bike series is going.
So for someone who's out there and they might be spending a lot of time on the trails, getting faster and stronger, and wanting to try their hand at racing, is this venue appropriate for someone's first mountain bike race, or would they be better off starting somewhere else?
All of our venues, with one in the exception of this, and that's Sugarcamp, are very beginner friendly. Sugarcamp will also have the ability to walk your bike, push your bike if you need to, and things like that. And it's not necessarily that it's any harder, it's just slightly physically demanding. I mean, there's a long climb at the end. It's smooth and wide and, gradually snakes its way up the mountain, but it is kind of long. So that's the escalator. That's how you send them up? Yeah. Yeah. And it pops out right at the spot we need them to host the race from. And it's not a bad climb. If you like climbing, you're going to love that course. Some of the things that people get weary about on the Prestonsburg course is a few of the little downhill technical spots. And we're actually changing the course slightly from what we had planned last year, just to make a quicker lap for a lot of people. This race is earlier in the year, so the ground will be a little bit slower than in the middle of summer where it's drier and faster. So we're going to adapt it because of that. And all the spots that are, questionable in any way that are, maybe like, oh, there's a little rock up here that you're not going to see going around a turn. So you might want to know about it if you've never ridden the course. We'll have caution signs up, a little feature ahead, various things like that to let people know. So the thing is if you're going for the win, you're probably in a pro or Cat 1 race, you're probably not going to be pushing your bike or having to get off your bike anywhere. If you drop a chain or get a little out of control, that's one thing. But just because your skill is probably not going to, you're probably not winning the race if you don't have the skill to ride everything on the course. If you're a Cat 3, you have to realize, and Cat 3 is the beginner.
If you wouldn't mind, Josh, just take a minute. We may have some folks who have never raced before. So just kind of talk through the categories for us and how that applies to your event.
Yeah. So category 1 is your expert pro level racers. People who've done this for decades, good at what they do, pretty fit, can go for however long you need them to. Your Cat 2 racers are someone that sits in the middle of a beginner and the person who's a veteran cyclist at this. Your Cat 2 racers, you'll often see people who are pretty serious about it, but maybe not train as much as they need to, or people who are really fast and they doubt themselves and they sign up for Cat 2 when they should be in Cat 1. And then Cat 3 is your beginners and your people who don't necessarily train. They maybe just go on rides and, they're there for the social aspect, or they're new to it and they're trying to get into training and get into understanding more of the physical side and the fitness side of it. And this is where they're starting. So your Cat 3 racers, if you guys are pushing a feature, that is totally fine. You're exactly where you should be. And that's the good thing, because you're probably not going to be the only person that stops and pushes over a feature. We race the Cat 3s at a certain time. We race the Cat 1s at a certain time. So we don't have bumper cars out on the trail. So never doubt yourself for signing up for a race. If you're signing up in the category that you belong in, odds are there's a lot of people that's going to struggle with that or need to brake check something and roll it or walk it or push up a hill or something like that at some point. And that's just all part of the adventure. Yes, you are racing for, first, second, or third on the podium for your category, but you're also racing the clock and you're racing yourself. Doing these races and doing something new for a beginner is a big deal to keep pushing yourself and to keep pushing yourself in the sport. So, one of the biggest things that I could really, really stress to anyone that's, curious of whether or not they're good enough for a race or anything like that, come out and try it. If you can ride the loop and you can do it in, a decent time and you don't have to push all 6 or 7 miles or whatever the loop is, then you should come out. There is, of course, a level of this maybe isn't for you if it's, way, way too much. But if there's only 1 or 2 features on the course that you have to push, you're welcome, and you definitely have a place and you should be out the race. So yeah, and all the courses are always open all throughout the year. We're not doing anything on a special trail that's just for the race. I mean, you can go ride the exact race course at any of our races right now and, have fun practicing and riding somewhere new.
Cool. Tell me about number of participants you typically have at these events.
Yeah, last year we've seen around 140. And that was between running and mountain biking. And we're hoping for around that same amount this year. Cycling is definitely an uptick in a lot of ways. We've seen a lot of people come back into racing, and we've seen a lot of people get into cycling in general. So we're hoping for some, pretty good numbers and to get some, new faces out in the community.
And what's the distribution on the mountain bike side between category 3 versus 2 and 1?
Category 3 definitely has the most. I'd say category 2 has far fewer, and then category 1 is, sometimes pretty stacked. Sometimes there's a decent amount in category 1. But yeah, category 3 and the junior categories and stuff like that see the most.
And so within those categories, how does gender play into things?
Yeah, so I mean, typically we have, male and female races. We do allow for non-binary folks to race and register. That's an option on the registration page. And if someone does register that way, we will talk with them and see what they're comfortable with, see what they're wanting to do for the race category. Because it's different for a lot of the people that choose to race as that. But we're there for humans to come race bike. It don't matter, how you identify and what you are concerned about and what others are concerned about. All humans are allowed to race bikes, and that's what we care about.
Cool. Very good. All right. So if it's okay with you, I want to go ahead and bring up the site and have you talk through the season for us. All right. So we have the Bluegrass Mountain Cup page here, which is bluegrassmountaincup.com. And so, Josh, if you would, I'd just like you to walk us through the season. And I know you alluded to the fact that you're potentially going to have another race get added to that. So you can, mention to that and speak to that as well.
Yeah, for sure. So pretty straightforward. The website's there just to, kind of catch some information and be a spot to land for updates and such. So here on the homepage, if you scroll down, you can kind of see something. And over here on the side, the Sheltowee Trace virtual run. That's not cycling related. That's a pretty cool thing we also have going on. It's a virtual challenge to complete the Sheltowee virtually, which is 353 miles now, April 1st through July 31st. Pretty cool thing, fundraiser for the STA, which is the Sheltowee Trace Association. As you log miles, you can track yourself on the Sheltowee, which is largely Google like a Street View Google Earth. If you didn't know that, you can like drop the little Street View guy on Google Maps to spots on the trail and like just be there in the woods and see the trail. So it's a pretty cool feature that acts also as a fundraiser and gets some pretty cool swag and is a fun way for people to connect. So that's one of the running side of things we're doing this year. If you hit the events tab up at the top there, this is always where you can find like what's on our schedule for the year. So the virtual runs there's first as it starts earliest in the year. Next down will be the Sugarcamp weekend, which is very exciting. We actually launched some words about the Sugarcamp Shuttle Saturday earlier this week, April 9th, which is the day before the Bluegrass Mountain Cup race at Sugarcamp on April 10th. The shuttle day is just a free day. Come hang out, get laps, not pedal up to the top of the hill, save your legs a little bit, and maybe experience some trails that you normally don't ride because of where they connect or where they end up. There's a few downhill trails that kind of spit you out in some different parking lots and, maybe not the best if you're trying to do a short ride. Right. So with the shuttle day, you get to hit those trails and do as many laps as you want to on that. We'll have a lot of the Bluegrass Cup stuff already set up. This isn't necessarily our event. We're just cross promoting it for the Trails group, and Prestonsburg Tourism is being a supporter of it. And we're, saying, hey, come ride. Shuttle days are awesome. The city brings a truck with a big shuttle pad on it. We can go like 30 bikes on it. And they also bring airport shuttle buses out, and it's nonstop as many times as you can get up and down the mountain just to have fun, do laps, and make a lot of friends. We will have a pretty cool little feature to where the first 30 people to sign up for the Bluegrass Cup will get a pint glass with Bluegrass Cup logo on one side and the Sugarcamp Shuttle Saturday logo on the other. And the first 30 people to donate $25 or more to Sugarcamp Mountain Trails, which there will be a spot for that on the website coming Monday. They will also get a pint glass. So there's a couple ways to, kind of participate and get some cool swag and make this more of a memorable thing. And this is something that I believe the Trails group will look to do a couple times a year as a more official, like announced thing. They've done it for a few years, just like a small, hey, we're all going shuttle this weekend. Yeah. But we're, really trying to get like all the Lexington, Louisville crowd to come and, have a good weekend riding bikes at Sugarcamp.
Yeah, so Sugarcamp is a real special place. And I know for a lot of people, it kind of pops up as their favorite trail. And I think for hand built, it's kind of hard to argue with that, especially given the topography of the area. I mean, it is legit mountain biking, and that shuttle is definitely a nice feature, to keep you from pedaling up. For those who are familiar with riding out there, can you kind of do you know the trail names well enough to be able to kind of talk us through what the race loop consists of?
Yeah, so we'll be starting at the top parking lot there, the beautiful overlook up by the helicopter pad and all that. So we'll start there. You go out and you go down Burley Man for a bit. And then it goes into, let me see if I get this right. Burley Man into Burning Tree. It hits like the multi-purpose road, like the
Fire road,
service road. It's like a fire road kind of. It's that for a second, then it hits Burning Tree, and then it'll hit Lodge. It'll go Lodge, I guess, up Eddie Munster, no ripcord. We'll go up those for just a bit, and then hit the road again, and then that takes you back around to Escalator, which then takes you up.
Okay.
It's pretty much all downhill until you get to Escalator, which is only a 2-mile climb up. So you go down for probably 3 miles, and then you start climbing for 2. So
I imagine that serves as a bit of a separator, that climb at the end.
Yeah, the climb at the end will determine a lot for a lot of categories. But if you're a good descender, you can get a lead on them, pretty early. And in these trails, it's flowy, it's fun. There's a lot more technical trails that you can ride at Sugarcamp, and if you're into shuttling and riding trail bikes, that's probably what you're going to do on the Shuttle Saturday. But the race course, it'll definitely be different compared to all the race courses that we do in the rest of the series. And it's just because Sugarcamp is an extremely unique place. It's a big mountain, and there's only one way to the top, and that's Escalator. So that's about it.
I imagine you could do it other ways, but that is the kind of way.
yeah, that's the less steep, more just like shift down a gear and
the most rideable way anyway.
Yeah, for sure. So this is the second race weekend of the year, and this is the Southern Kentucky Adventure Weekend. We're calling the SCA on a lot of social media and everything like that. So this is partnered with Aaron Denny from Vendura Events. Aaron hosts a lot of events at PC Park, which if you've never been to PC Park, it's one of the best riding spots in the state. Not nearly as technical as Sugarcamp. Loads of trails, fast, flowy, pretty much all machine built. They even have a flow line and that you can shuttle there. It's like a mini shuttle version kind of. And it's a ton of fun, and it's very well worth the drive down from Lexington or Louisville. So with the Adventure Weekend, the Saturday events, Aaron is running those, and those consist of an adventure try in the morning, a paddle race in the middle of the day, and then a nighttime map adventure. So it's kind of a trail run with
like adventure racing type thing, huh?
Yeah, very like low level introduction into adventure racing. And so, if you're unfamiliar with PC Park, we say paddle race. It's on Lake Cumberland. It borders it, and it's all around there. So that's how paddle and an adventure trial works. So if you hit all the segments of outdoor sports, and you are, here for every kind of outdoor adventure, this is something you don't want to miss out on. The people who are choosing to do all 4 events throughout the weekend are some tough individuals. And there's a lot of people that are signed up for a couple events. So it's pretty awesome. We like to see that. So all of this stuff will happen on Saturday, and then our mountain bike race will happen on Sunday, all kind of from the same general base area for parking and all that stuff. Tons of camping there. There's a few little lodge cabin, like KOA kind of cabin things you can stay at there. And it's right next to Somerset. Most people have no clue where Nancy is. It's about 10 minutes outside of Somerset. So tons of, dining and lodging and everything else you could ever imagine there.
As a less technical rider, I'll say that PC Park is currently, I haven't ridden all the trail systems in the state yet, but currently my favorite, and I doubt it's in no small part to the work that I know that trail system emerged over a long period of time, but the work that Andrew Parson has done down there is really spectacular. I enjoy a flowy, trail, and these trails are hard to beat that way. Maybe you can talk us through. I know you've got kind of really two big sections, if you will,
Yeah.
sort of high line, low line, and then you've got the roller, the more the downhill, section of things. So tell us about how your race works relative to.
Yeah. So the number one question I get about PC Park is it's not what the course is. Is it going down high roller or is it going up bushwhacker? And it's not. We don't hit that part. The road crossing and all that stuff. We kind of stay away from all of that for this event. We'll be starting in like one of the campground areas just for a good start and stop area, and it's going to loop around. I think the trail's called Fish Trap. It kind of goes out through there, and then it goes over like Cliffview direction. There's tons of trails. If you look at the trail map, they're all kind of parallel. So I'll maybe get my names off on a few, but I could go mark it real quick. The High Line, which is the back trail, it's like the furthest trail you go to before you cross the creek and go right, or you go left and start climbing. So you're going up High Line, and then you'll come down Low Line, which it just turns into when you get to the top, and that loops you back around, and you'll go connect out. I guess it's Turpin Branch. That kind of loops back around, crosses a creek, and then comes back to like the main parking area and all that stuff. So we'll connect back through there and loop it back through. A really cool thing about this course is we've hosted two collegiate races here now. So collegiate, cross country mountain bike races, and then also collegiate downhill there over on High Roller, which isn't real downhill, but we have to get the qualification things in for collegiate racing. In this XC course, which is the same as what we've done for the collegiate racing that we'll do for Bluegrass Cup. For the top guys that race in collegiate, I mean, there's a lot of pro cyclists that raced in college, that are traveling the world racing some of the biggest races. They go all out on this course because when it's dry and when it's fast, you can hammer these laps. They were doing roughly a 5-mile lap in about 20 minutes. The top 10 guys were, and I mean, they were hauling.
Yeah.
And at the end of the race, many of them puked because it's a course that, like, for the fast guys, allows you to just go full on.
Yeah, because the climbs, I mean, I don't know what the grade is, but it's not bad at all. I mean, I guess they're just long, kind of gradual, climbs there. So
yeah, the climb's not nearly as bad as escalator at Sugarcamp. You'll shift up in places and stand up, and you'll feel like you're, like you ate your Wheaties in the morning. In some spots on the climb up High Roller. And the other thing is like where it is a flow trail and where it is very machine built and very smooth turning and no like super jagged sections or anything like that, you just don't stop. You just keep going and keep going. So for the faster categories, Cat 1 and Cat 2, I'm really excited to see how it all pans out at PC Park, because I think it'll be some tough and fast racing. And then this is probably the best place to go if you're a beginner and you're only able to do maybe one race this year. PC Park is the place you're going to want to go. It's extremely beginner friendly. The trails are a load of fun, whether you're fast or a beginner. The trails are amazing. I've never heard anyone like say that they don't like PC Park. Or have any reservations. So.
Well, and you mentioned that there's camping available there. There's looks to be a large primitive area and then like a separate RV section as well. And we didn't talk about it, but I assume that Jenny Wiley State Park Campground becomes an obvious place for people to stay for the Sugarcamp race as well. And their beeline, which is a lot of fun, dumps right out into the campground. So if you're out there the day before, and staying at the campground, that might be a nice way to wrap it up. So
yeah, and that's one of the spots that the shuttle weekend and the shuttle spot go to. They go to the campground and they go to another parking lot for where a couple other trails dump out. So yeah, if you're camping at Jenny Wiley for the Prestonsburg race, you can have a pretty good like central base camp for the weekend there.
Nice. And if people haven't been out there, I definitely encourage you to get out there beforehand. I mean, it'll prepare you that much more, but I will include, I've done both with Josh Turner, who's the head trail gnome at Sugarcamp, and then Aaron Denny, who Josh mentioned here. I've done trail gnome tours with each of them. I will say I'm not a racer. I'm very much a slow roller, but I had a great time with both of those guys. So I'll include those links to those videos at the end of this as well. All right. So.
Yep. Actually, Nathan, if you want to scroll back up to like the Sugarcamp race real quick, I'll just I'll show you a little thing on the more info tab down there, because we've talked about trail maps and everything like that.
Yeah.
Just hit that. And so we usually announce the official trail map 3 or so weeks before the race, and that's just in case like there's an ice storm or a tornado or anything crazy that maybe takes the trail out of contention. We just don't want to, get too far ahead of ourselves, and we make the decision based on the best trail option close to the race, because there's always a couple options that we have planned. So yeah, if you scroll down on this, and if you're looking at racing the Sugarcamp race, this is where you find it all. This is where you find the schedule. This is where you get the registration link. And if we have a lot of changes or updates, this will be the place to find it. And if you keep going down, there's a little bit of info about the shuttle day, and then went down a little bit more course detail. So this is the Trailforks map. Trailforks is one of the best places to go if you've not used it, especially in their Sugarcamp. Josh Turner and those guys are great about keeping Trailforks as the good up-to-date service for Sugarcamp trail system. When we get closer to time, we will do a little GPX file that you can download and have the route overlay onto the Trailforks map. So this will be a spot that you can, kind of look, and you can see the zigzags in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen there. That's the climb back out. That's escalator.
Oh, this guy over here, yeah.
Yep. So, and then where that green dot is, that's pretty much where the start finish line is for the race. Up there, right by the little parking sign and all that. So yeah, that's the general lay of the land at Sugarcamp. But this is where you're going to be able to find the exact route information and everything like that.
Nice.
For all of our races, we'll do, unless there's not a valid Trailforks map up for the location, we'll do Trailforks for everyone. I have no connection to Trailforks, so don't think this is like a sponsored plug or anything. If you've not used Trailforks, it's worth downloading. I really think that they will be probably over the next couple of years the gold standard in this stuff. Pink Bike was bought by Outside not long ago. Trailforks is a product of Pink Bike. Outside has a lot of money to invest into these kinds of things. Like, even though we'll have our sponsored, that probably come with it, because Outside is a media company, we will probably have a better product because of it with the Trailforks app. It's still kind of in its infancy in a lot of ways. However, I think it's the best, platform across running, hiking. I mean, you can even get on there and like change it to like snowmobile and like all kinds of stuff. And it just changes like what trails are at various parks too.
And for people who haven't used it, I mean, it's really nice because you download the app, you can download a map, and then it's not relying upon a self connection. You're just going to use the GPS on your phone, and you can see exactly where you are in the map. So really,
and at the moment it's free, so that's always nice too.
Yeah.
The June 4th and 5th weekend, we're looking to do our race here at Green River Lake. I live right across the road from the trail, so this is my home race. Put a lot of pride into it, and this is one of the ones we'll be doing a trail run and a mountain bike. So Saturday trail run, mountain bike on Sunday. And we're partnering it with the Central Kentucky Adventure Weekend, which is our Trail Town sponsored, downtown shindig mixed with outdoor events to kind of get the whole town interested in what we're doing for the outdoor racing and community and everything like that. It says more info coming soon. We're waiting on the state park to check off on the permit before we launch registration and do all of that. They've been, I don't know to say swamped, but I would say in like crisis mode after all of the storms this winter in Western Kentucky and everything like that. That stretched a few departments kind of thin.
Mhm.
And so we're being patient with them to just get all this stuff green lighted before we get too far ahead of ourselves there. We've been told there's no reason we can't have it on this weekend. We just have to wait for that paper from Frankfurt before we launch registration. That is their request.
And
so,
not really nice campground right there on the lake.
Very nice campground right on the water's edge. It books up a long time in advance, but there's some other campgrounds here around in Campbellsville too. Of course, a couple of hotels. We're really close to downtown here at Green River. It's only 6 miles back into town. Beautiful area. I'm biased because I live here, but it's a good place to make for a weekend. And a lot of people don't realize how close Campbellsville is to everything else. From my house, I can be to either I can be to Louisville Airport in about an hour and 15 minutes from Campbellsville, and I can be to the Bluegrass Airport in about an hour and 30, give or take, minutes from my house. It's pretty centrally located. It's easy to come down here for just a Saturday morning ride. Have some good food in downtown and then head back home for the day. It's closer than what a lot of people realize. When people ask, "Oh, Campbellsville, oh, is that close to Lexington or Louisville?" It's close to literally everything. It's nearly the center of the state. So I'm saying that as an open invite for folks that want a new place to ride or to come practice before the race. We're not that far away. Come check us out.
Tell us about for people who may be familiar, what way that course will run.
Yeah, so we start over at the ranger station, is what us locals call it. It's like the park office and all that. And we start over there just for parking. It's not where we start our everyday trail rides from. It's just where we start the race from for parking. And so it goes out Main Trail. It hits Pat's Loop, Rex Trail, Eddie's Loop. It'll hit Lakeshore and go up, if you're on Strava, an area called Kenny's Climb, which may have a new climb this year. It's a slightly bit longer and not straight up. Then it goes over and hits a really fun trail called Fox Hollow. After that, it hits Scenic Overlook. And then we hit a area which isn't on the trail map, but it is a trail, and we all as locals call it West Virginia because it's really rough. May leave that in, may take it out. The trails have got a little bit slower over the winter with all the washout and flooding. We got some nice roots sticking up to change the pace, and it's kind of a new trail in some ways. So we may or may not hit West Virginia and then connect back in, and that loops up back through one of the trailheads, and then that kind of takes a grass field over back to the start finish line and parking area. So the race starts out all in the wood, like you go all through the woods, and then the last mile or so is kind of a sprint to the finish line all through the grass. There's not a lot to slow you down. So it can make for some interesting racing. We had some guys that were pretty good in technical last year that just, maybe flat pedal riders or something. The guys that weren't great at sprinting and stuff like that, they got, outhorsed on the last leg. So good little strategy that some people have learned to play at that course, because we've raced it that way a few times now.
And I'm not ridden there before. It's definitely still on the list, but talk to me about the topography. I've actually arrived there on the old Bracky route, which was the Governor's Island bike ride across Kentucky, used to come and stay there. So I've arrived there on a bicycle, and I know enough that when you enter into the top of the park, you descend down to the lake. Is it kind of built on the hillside, in terms of the lake topography kind of going up a hill? Or
in some ways, so the parking area is right when you turn into the park. You'll see the lake at the bottom of the lakeshore downhill. You'll come out to an area called the Point, and it's a little peninsula where you just make your 180 on, and the lake's all around you. It's pretty cool, really really scenic, beautiful area. We take people down there to see the lake. But for the most part, you're on top of the ridge, and
Gotcha.
You're punching down, coming up, punching down, coming up. It's a very punchy race. I mean, some of these trails will go up and down from, as close as we can get to like the water's edge in a gully, back up to the top of the ridge 3 or 4 times within a mile.
Wow.
I mean, it's a very punchy route. The Fox Hollow Trail, Scenic Overlook, all that stuff in there is very hand cut, old school, Rudy tight, a little bit of bench cut here and there with some features, riding. It's a big difference from like Capital View or anything like that. It's a very almost nostalgic feel of a trail system, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Just with a lot of hand cut stuff and just like simple building and like mindful building and, some cool features that are kind of creative and, made in minimal ways and stuff like that along the way. It's good. There's not really been a machine that's built any of these trails, maybe back 30 years ago or so when they started the trails. They probably, of course, did like the main trail, like the Big Horse Trail and stuff like that with a machine of some sort. But all the mountain bike trails that we're on, for the most part, no machines or anything on them. So they definitely have a good feel to them. Yeah. So we have a tentative rain date there. Always good to have that on the schedule for us and other people to plan around. And then the Sugarcamp 5K and 10K in Prestonsburg, that's in the fall. We're going to look at some peak fall colors and, do the trail run then as a trail run only for that event. And so the other race that we're looking to put at, it could be on this rain out date. It'll probably be sometime in May or June, but that location is at Perry County Park in Hazard. Ben has been building some sick trails over there. I got to tour them a couple weeks ago. The way the trail system lays out and the options of everything that's going on there is quite impressive, to be honest. And I think it's going to be like the next like Prestonsburg PC Park, like one of the next destinations that everyone wants to go to on the weekend. It's super easy to get to if you're driving into Hazard. If you're coming in on the parkway there, it's not far off it at all. And there's the way he's got it laid out, there's a lot of options. If you have an e-bike, there's even more options because it's on a decent sized hill as well. We are looking for doing a special trail run there, and that trail run is not just going to be a normal 5K or 10K. It's actually going to be a kind of like a mini version of a sky race, if you're familiar with that, where you're racing to the top. But in a more unique format than that, it's going to be a time trial. So you have no clue how you're doing during the race compared to everyone else. You're going to be racing yourself mentally, thinking, am I going hard enough? Am I not going hard enough? Am I going as fast as so-and-so? You don't know. And at the same time, it also kind of creates the fun of, going there and like racing your friend and, them not knowing how you're doing, you not knowing how they're doing, and getting to the top. And that course will be, 2 miles to 3 miles to the top is what we're probably looking at there. So that's going to be a pretty fun thing. Something unique and different, not just doing another trail running race that, every other town's doing, like I said before.
It's cool. I mean, I met those guys at the Kentucky Bicycle and Bikeways Commission had a meeting over last fall, I guess, and those guys were on a panel with Josh Turner for some of the Eastern Kentucky, trail development stuff, and excited to get out there and to see their stuff as well. So I'm glad to hear that you're tying in to the work that those guys are doing. It'll put them on the map. So that's great.
Yeah, you got some good things going on. So we want to, help their momentum and help them keep building on what they're doing. And they have great county support. They have a sponsor, locally that helps with a lot. They have a nonprofit in place to help grants come through and get these trails built and everything like that. So they're doing things the right way. And I think they're going to be an example for a lot of other, small towns in Kentucky to follow to get good trail systems built.
Good deal.
It's capable. Most people just don't know how to start and how to do it and everything. So having examples, I think, is going to be a good thing for all of Kentucky.
Well, Josh, I wanted to nudge you. You've got this merch site or this page out here, and with kind of a coming soon flyer. I have seen some of your work in terms of Explore. I know you've done design work for Explore Kentucky, Jerry James, project, and know that you happen to be a very talented graphic artist. So where's the swag, man?
I don't know, somewhere on a container ship. We actually back, I guess it's November, December, I was pricing out some things and put a big hold button on a lot of that stuff because I wanted to wait till closer to the time of the season to get some of that stuff in. just to have more options. There's a few things and a few brands of shirts and stuff like that, like specific fit hats, just kind of not available. And
supply chain issues are real.
They are, and the clothing, like the t-shirts that you print logos like these on, that stuff's been hit super hard.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I'll be honest. I was digging around. I went ahead and threw the tab on the website, and as I dug deeper into it, I just realized that I don't think the options are out here right now for what I want to put money into and put my logos on. I'm kind of picky about what I spend my money on that way, and just not there yet. So I need to revisit it, I guess, here after.
Well, do you think that'll happen this season, or is this more like a next year thing?
No, I think it'll happen this season for sure. I just gotta wait and pull the trigger on the right products, and it's not overpaying. Like some of the it's supply and demand. If there's limited supply of it, then there's more of a demand for some of these shirts, and prices go up, and can't justify it, because then I don't want to have to ask you to pay $35 for a t-shirt when I can wait a month when the price equalizes and it's back to normal. So
will you have merchandise available at the events themselves, or no?
We're hoping to. I'm hoping to have that. We're not doing t-shirts for any of the races this year. Not as a plan for any like swag item. T-shirts are a mess, and you usually throw half of them away. So we're looking to do things that are fun, like pint glasses. Josh Harris, there's a lot of Joshes involved in this.
There are a lot of Joshes, and they're all on the mountain bike side. I don't know what's up with that, but
right. Yeah. So Josh Harris from Summer Cycle over in Somerset, he's actually throwing in 75 pairs of socks that are Sock Guy socks with the Summer Cycle logo on them.
Nice.
To the first 75 registrants of mountain bike race at PC Park. So if you haven't signed up yet, go sign up for that and claim your socks. That's a pretty good swag item.
And Josh Harris also has a YouTube channel called Dr. J MTB. So I'll give a shout out there.
Yeah. So yeah, but as far as swag and stuff, we'll get that soon. And thanks for the compliment on the design and everything like that. If you guys don't know, Bluegrass Mountain Cup is owned by a company called Rockpower Brand Co, which is my marketing and design company. So yeah, this is our site, and you can see like poster work we've done, you can see logo work we've done, photography. We do a lot of stuff in the cycling, outdoor adventure tourism side of things. We also work with a lot of small businesses doing logos, doing websites, ad campaigns, political campaigns, and like this year, and political seasons. So yeah. Cool. Marketing and branding, hire a lot of really good creatives from across the state out to make these works happen. That's my normal day job.
All right. So, and then if people wanted to contact you, is the best way to do that through the site here?
Yeah, emails are always best. Usually if it starts on Instagram or Facebook as a message, we'll end up going to email to get the real work done. So yeah, emails are great. And if you ever have a question about anything, never ever hesitate to ask. We're here to answer questions. We're here to educate you along the way. And even if you decide that racing's maybe not what you want to do or not for you, there's no love lost. This is an educational, project as much as it is as a race project from how we see it and how we approach it.
Cool.
I'm a lifelong cyclist. I've been racing bikes for 22 years. Been all over the world to get to experience mountain biking and racing and all of that stuff. And, I want people to enjoy it and enjoy the love for the sport that I have. So whatever we can do to help foster that growth, we're here for it.
Awesome. And I see you've got an active Facebook page out here. Is this kind of the best way to stay up to date with announcements or changes?
Definitely. Facebook. And if you, subscribe to C-Post on Facebook or on Instagram, that'll be great. We usually share kind of about all the same stuff on both platforms. Okay. But yeah, those are definitely our two social media pages that are the go-tos for, keeping up with everything. If you register for a race, we start spamming you with a lot of email about the race and all of that closer to time of the event. for waivers and the info packets about parking, pack and pickup, all that good stuff. So we try to be very, very in communication with the racers before and during and after the event.
Good deal. Well, I'm going to stop sharing here. And Josh, I want to thank you very much for your time and updating us about the 2022 Bluegrass Mountain Cup Series. Just by way of wrap up, I always want to ask the question, is there anything that I haven't asked you about that you'd like to share with the Kentucky cycling audience?
Nothing on the top of my head. It's the end of February as we record this, and spring is right around the corner. We've had an extremely wet, just yucky winter across the state. One of the, worst probably in terms of cycling in a while. So don't lose motivation. Know that spring is coming soon. I saw some March lilies popping up yesterday morning, so that's always refreshing. Just be ready and get excited to enjoy those 65-degree perfect riding weather days and the sunshine. I know a lot of people are demotivated and maybe haven't rode the bike in 2 months to much capacity at all. Because for a lot of folks that live in areas with trails in the city, the trails are closed when it's bad weather, or it's been slightly warm enough or too icy or something to where the freeze thaw isn't working right to get on the trails any. And it's made it hard. So don't lose the momentum. Just come out swinging. We're hoping that the shuttle day is being the kickoff of the season for everyone to get people super stoked on riding bikes and having fun and back in the swing of, hey, it's nice weather again, let's go ride bikes. This is what we want to do on the weekend. And thankfully I feel like the pandemic, as far as safety and regulations and everything like that are getting to a much more manageable point. Thank God that we can do things more safely and start to see some faces we haven't seen since maybe 2019. So awesome, we're almost there.
Well, Josh, thank you for your work and for your passion and for providing these opportunities for people to get out and do not only some mountain bike racing, but for some trail running races as well. Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Nathan.
As always, we hope you found this content useful. If you did, please like the video and consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks.